Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Strat Fan Forum football show, and I'm joined as always by Tom Cook. We're going to talk today about the SOMSFA mid-season show, and we are really going to try to do a speedy, crisp, fantastically fast, but also entertaining show. So Tom, how are you doing? Take it away.
Womp, 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 womp.
Our first show
Our
first show without our Google sound effects.
Yes, the villains at Google, the fascists at Google, they got rid of all the wonderful Google effects, as this is supposed to be now a more business and enterprise-oriented app. It's my understanding. Which means that we're all business today, Dennis.
We're all business, and there is nothing they put in place of this. I thought maybe they'd do a different kind of sound effects, but there is nothing here.
No, there's just silence. We have to generate. You know, there's a story I like when Bud Grant, of course, was coaching the Minnesota Vikings. They're playing outside in the freezing cold all the time. I think at one point they developed a rule in the NFL. If a team was going to provide heating for one sideline, they had to provide it for both. I guess you had some teams providing heating only for the home sideline. So they asked Bud Grant about that. They said, "Are you going to provide heating for both sidelines?" He said, "No." "No, we'll generate our own heat."
But I'm bummed.
Just from the effectiveness of their play and their manliness, I think is what he was saying. So.
Oh, okay.
But that'd be yes, yeah. It wasn't. I don't think it was flatulence related, which I think is what you were referring to.
Well, who knows? You know, in dire situations, sometimes you have to huddle together for warmth in an unmanly way. But that's okay. Bud Grant is a man's man, so I don't think he had any kind of negative connotations on that aspect.
No, I think you ruined my story. It's supposed to be the Vikings being tough guys. Now we're wondering about flatulence and.
Yes,
and perhaps some unusual activities between teammates. I don't know.
Nothing wrong with
anyway,
man hug. That's fine.
So, but anyway.
So we're here to talk about SOMSFA.
To talk about SOMSFA.
The reigning champion, Tom Cook, and his Baltimore Ravens are going to lead us in a discussion of how SOMSFA was looking at it. And there was a point where it looked like your Ravens were going to, go on a run and make the playoffs again. But I see that they've stumbled a little bit. What happened? Where's the defending champs?
Well, currently it looks like we're tied for about 16th place, which so we're not facing relegation. I was reading some soccer stuff in the forum, but this team is not built for the year, Dennis, and they don't have pass blocking or many other attributes that generally lead to winning football. So I was expected to lose, and they are. I've dropped 3 out of 4 this quarter, some 3 and 5. And we'll see if we can get some more wins in the second half. It's not over yet, but it doesn't look good. But I'm not expecting to make it. But the team's playing pretty well, so you may get a couple of wins. We'll see what happens. I do think they'll finish at least 6 and 10. Maybe do a little better. We'll see. But the team's not built for the year. And they're kind of like next year. You know what it was before last year? Well, I took over the team 2 years ago, whatever. I guided them through that whole offseason, played the first block of games, 4 games, and then I was too busy. I couldn't play anymore, so I gave up the team. But then the guy who took them over couldn't play the next year, so I was able to take the team back. And that was the year I won the championship in the second year with them.
Yeah, but you gave me I'm 10-0 right now. You gave me a hard time in our game. I remember sweating it out. You had the ball with a chance to go down and take the lead or tie it up at least. So it was not. Yeah.
Was that another one of your games against one of my weak teams where you decided to be fun to just do whatever you wanted, and you were line blocking with Russell Wilson on 1st and 10. You're going for 4th down and 3. You're on 38 with like a touchdown lead and stuff like that. Or no?
So you're saying I didn't give a very good coaching performance?
Well, in the SSFA, you really were like, Tom's team is lousy. I'll just do whatever I want. And that seemed to backfire. And then you got like one bad break, and all of a sudden it was like practically a tied game in the fourth quarter. I was like, oh, now I have to actually play.
Yeah, that was great.
So yeah, I look not bad coaching, but maybe a little casual. Maybe feel, and look, my teams kind of suck in the spring right now. Although next year they'll be good. So but anyway,
it's a good lesson.
Yeah, but no, I think I hung around for a while in this game, but I think you pulled away pretty handily. I mean, I lost by 10. Oh, that's it. This is when you kicked the field goal at the end to rub it in. Oh,
that's right. I was like, I was winning. I was in control of this game.
That's right.
22-0.
Right. Yeah, you were dominating
and this game
me.
Done it
and then you got there's an interception, and then I got a 60-yard interception return for a touchdown with 2:42 left, and it was 22-15. Yeah, and then at the end you kicked a cheap field goal, literally the last play of the game, to run up the score because you didn't want it to look too close.
You have to admit, it looks a lot better. It looks like 25-15, double-digit win. That was not a double-digit win. That was what the hell is going on down there?
Yeah, well, it looks a lot better up here, 25-15. It looks a lot worse right here. It looks a lot worse right here. It looks a lot worse right here. 0-0-0 field goal.
It always does that.
To make
I think it was actually
that game. What you saying?
No, I was saying after the 60-yard interception, you got the ball back. You got to stop, and you had the ball with a chance to go down and tie it up in a game that you were losing 22-0 late in the third quarter.
That wasn't it. Well, shoot, late in the fourth quarter because it was 22-0 right before this touchdown at 4:12. So with 6 minutes to go, I was losing 22-0, and I guess driving. Now, is this the game though? Was this the game, or was it the SSFA game where you threw like a bomb at Russell Wilson despite being up by a lot, and then got an interception split that was incomplete, and then threw the flat pass wrong interception or whatever the next play? Was it this game or was it the game?
I think that was SSFA. This game was just
okay.
No, maybe this was.
But somehow here I got
you got it.
Somehow here I got a 60-yard pick for a touchdown. No, I think that Russell Wilson pick that I'm talking about, that I think came in your own territory. So that was probably the SSFA game, which I lost 24-18. Yeah, both these games I had the ball. I had the ball like 2 minutes left and a chance to tie. But it was not meant to be. And your teams are far superior, and you're an excellent coach. But you did dilly dally. Maybe it was my 5.3 to 1 pass to run ratio that caused a problem in this game. 53 attempts for Big Ben. I mean, I might as well keep passing. He was averaging 4 yards an attempt. I was averaging 5.1 on the ground. I guess I should have run the ball more.
All right. Well, we're already going off track. Let's get back before the podcast.
What a fun track it is to be off.
Yes. Before the podcast started, the idea we had is instead of going through each team and breaking them down as usual, we're just going to look at the stats and look and try to see if one or two things catch our eye. So,
we're not going to go into the computer manager and this and that. We're going to try and just look at the stats and what they've done so far. And the idea is to be a little faster with each team and to get through the show in a more timely way. And we're going to, the team's 500 or better, we'll give them that treatment. If the team's under 500, it's going to be the 2-minute lightning round. You don't have time. Dennis, I'd like you to be, they got rid of a dinger also. So we've got to find a way to get some effects in here somehow. But you'll have to. You'll need like a try. Do you have a pot in a pan, Dennis? Like bang something.
Okay.
To let us know when the 2 minutes is up during the lightning round, and even 5 minutes up before it. But anyway, back to SOMSFA. I did win the Super Bowl against the last year, Dennis. I was fortunate to do so. And to start the game helped out a lot. I think you dominated most of the first half, and then I got like a good scoring drive near the end to tie it up again of the first half. But you had won 2 straight SOMSFA championships before that, and you were 16-0 in the regular season last year. I was 15-1, so it's not like I was 10-6 or something. But now you're 10-0 again, and 10-0 and dominating. Now 381 points. You've given up 137. That is an insane. Now, I did import Dennis's 2 results from the third quarter. We have had about 9 third quarter results so far. The big news being Seattle rolls off 2 more victories. Houston goes 2-1. It gets a couple of victories, including an overtime close one. And the Giants grab 2 more wins as they're right behind Dennis. So they're in that group with teams with 2 losses. They're now 8-2. And the Bears have lost a couple of games, hurting their chances. as they have fallen to 5 and 6. They were, I guess they've lost 2 out of 3. They were 4 and 4 now. They're 5 and 6. The key action, but boy, Dennis, I traded you Chris Ivory for a late 2. Chris Ivory, apparently he's the man in this year's running set. He was tearing it up for Dan Warren in SOMSFA, I believe, and he is just going off for you in SSF and SOMSFA. Your team is 10-0, Dennis, and with 2 of the last 3 championships. How many straight regular season games have you won now?
Well, I guess it would be 16 plus 10. That's 26. And then last year I won the last 4 in the quarters. That's 30. And then I won 2 before that. So
32 straight victories.
Yeah, 32 straight.
If I recall,
if regular season wins,
we had a discussion about you winning like 40-something straight games in another league, and I was like, well, nobody's winning 40 straight games in SOMSFA or SFA. Now, SOMSFA I do think is a little different. I don't think it's, but even so, and 32 straight games is crazy. Regular season games, because you did lose the Super Bowl last year. Does it bother you more now that you won all these? Like if you were 8-2 now, does it bother you more that you're 10-0 and then you lost a close Super Bowl, as opposed to if you were 8-2 or 9-1? Because then you wouldn't have to keep saying regular season winning streak.
I think it would be. It's just an extra handful of games. What would that be? An extra 3 games from the previous season, and an extra 3 more from the next season. So an extra 6 games. So that's 38 games. I mean, 38 game winning streak sounds better than 32.
No,
but that's about it.
I'm saying more the fact that you have to say regular season instead of just saying winning streak.
Yeah, no, I think the idea, if you can get to like 40 games in a row, that's pretty crazy, and I would be like 2 games away from that right now.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if I ever won 22 straight games, I don't know what would happen to the SOMSFA section of the forum. The write-ups would be so lengthy, and there'd be like 7 different threads about my own team. Of course, if I go 6 and 10, you get a lengthy thread from me.
Yeah, I mean, but even if you just look at overall, you're talking about the last 3 years. I can't complain. What am I going to complain because I lost 1 game?
You won 2 out of 3 championships. And the year you didn't win it, you were 16-0 and lost a very close Super Bowl.
Yeah, let's put it this way. The 2 years ago when I won, I was 11-5. I was just like,
okay.
There was Ed was 14-2, Atlanta was 12-4, Detroit was 12-4, and then I was among a group of 3 teams that were 11-5. So that was really competitive. Could have gone anybody's way. I didn't even have 100-point differential. I had 484 scored and 388 against. So, maybe I shouldn't have won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and you could say maybe I should have won the Super Bowl last year. Either way.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good way to look at it. And like you said, you lost to a team 15-1. It's like you lost to a 10-6 team and like had a, what I'm saying, it threw like 5 interceptions or something. So at least, I guess that is, and like you said, you won 2 out of 3 championships and now you're 10-0. But,
Yeah, I really can't complain. And it looks like I've been dominant based on the stats, but I don't know. I just been really lucky with this team. Like, you'd say, oh, maybe you fattened up against the bottom teams in the standings, but you look at the Giants. I beat them 41-8. They're 8-2. I beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Where's their score? I beat them 34-13. They're 6-2. I beat San Francisco. You never beat Ed 38-14, but somehow I did. I beat Dallas 35-0. They're 5-2. So it's like I've played all the top teams that are up there with me, and I've beaten them all. But in each one of those games, I've gotten really lucky. And I think like this last game against Butch, where I beat him 28-14, but I was only leading 20-14. Late in the game in the fourth quarter, and I got a touchdown to make it look like it was a bigger margin. But that's the kind of games that I'm going to need to win in the playoffs, because that kind of luck. I think Chris Ivory plus 58 like 3 times this year. That's on Snake Eyes off tackle, guessed wrong. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. You can't count on hitting one of those huge numbers, but I've hit them consistently. which is crazy. I mean, not on top of that, but I've hit a long game a couple times. So in half of my 10 games, I've hit big numbers with ivory.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, well, it's interesting. I mean, I think we both felt like you had a really good team last year, 16-0 team, but you predicted yourself a 13-3 best record in the league. I predicted you for 12-4, second best record in the league. I predicted you to win the Super Bowl over Jersey Joe. And I don't recall what you predicted. You predicted the Giants over Niners. Okay. So you didn't predict yourself, which is good. So you already knew you have a really good team, and now you're 10-0. And now the question is, can you go undefeated, Dennis? And I say, well, of course you can. You only need to win 6 more games. But will you go undefeated is the question. What do we got here on the now, I think we're spending a little more time on your team, but
Yes.
look. No, hold on. But I want to spend a little more time on your team because 3 straight Super Bowl appearances, 2 of the last 3 championships, 10-0, 32 games in a row. If you don't spend a little extra time in that team, why even have a show?
Yeah, I hear you. But I would be wondering, if you pull up my stats, what stands out to you from
for the statistics
from my team? Yeah, because I have something that I think might get overlooked.
Okay, let's see.
Stat.
Now, am I sharing my screen properly right now?
Yeah, it looks great. And I think your question is, will I go undefeated? I haven't had one of those games yet where it's like, no matter what you do, you're going to lose that game. And I have a feeling I'm going to have one of those games soon. But what stands out to you in the stats?
All right, look at your stats. Well, the first thing that stands out is, Jesus, total offense. You got 1,600 more yards than the other guy. You're averaging 160 yards a game more than the other guy, which is very bad for him. That stands out. Third down efficiency, 53-36. This is just a domination fest. Fourth down efficiency, 50-30. Red zone efficiency, 89%. That's incredibly high. And you're almost never settling for a field goal. You probably go for fourth down every time down there. Well, so far, every stat stands out. You haven't been sacked yet this year. 0 sacks, 16 allowed.
That's the one that I was going to point out. For me, I went into the season trying to get all 7 pass blockers. And when Ivory's in there, I have, all 7s on the line and a 5 in the backfield. So I really wanted to see if I could do well with the dump offs and have, holes with the sacks. And that's really paid off for me this year.
Yeah, what really stands out for me, Dennis, is the 6 punts inside the 20 by Ryan Allen. What do you speak about that?
That's been huge. You get field position and you bury some of these guys deep. It does have an effect.
Across the board, these are dominating stats. You'd expect from a 10-0 team, and not just 10-0. 250 in points score. You're winning. Oh my God! Last year when you went undefeated, I remember you outscored the opponents by 20 points a game. This year, you so far have outscored the opponents by 25 points a game. How is that possible?
I can't explain it. Like I said, I just feel like I've gotten lucky with this team.
Oh, maybe you've gotten lucky. You have a real good team and you're a real good coach. So maybe they've been hot. But, I mean, across the board, look at this. Plus 90 in first downs. Plus 17% third downs. Plus 15% red zone. You're averaging 2.3 yards per play, more than the other guy. You're giving up only 4.6 yards a play. That is really low. I mean, every single stat is just crazy. You've already got 2,000 yards rushing. You only played 10 games. You're averaging 200 yards rushing a game. I did that with one team in SOMSFA many years ago, which is helping Russell Wilson, to a 19-3 touchdown interception percentage, 62% complete. He's having a great year for you because you're rushing and passing. Actually, you're running way more, 366 to 255. Some of that is must runs from Russell, but still. Chris Ivory's card goes off this year. I was looking at the file, and this is the thing why you can't go straight by the file. You got to really get inside the numbers or come with your own formulas. They've got him as the 29th best rushing card.
Wow.
Okay. No, they got him as the 29th best rushing card, but in the set. Okay, but that's because end run, you can't end run. His end run wrong is 3.67. His linebacker and on tackle against run columns are green.
Right.
And you can see there's only 1, 2, 3. There's only about 6 or 7 guys ahead of him who are green or blue in those 2 columns. Blue is the best, of course. Now his guess right column, I'm surprised, is red. Okay, it didn't look that bad to me. He looks more like a blank. But so there you go. I'm never going to run with this guy like Giovanni Bernard. He's yellow off tackle, he's blue end run, but he can't run linebacker. Only 2.44 guess run linebacker. But who'd you rather have? I mean, Giovanni Bernard or Justin Forsette's card or Cameron. They've got Cameron Artist Payne ahead of Giovanni Bernard's card. Ryan Matthews. So I mean, the guess wrong. So you got to watch out for these guys in the file who they can't do one type of run. Usually it's either a scat back that can't go in the middle or a bruiser like Ivory that can't go outside, and say, okay, well, I'm only going to run these two columns, particularly the linebacker with tackle guys are more effective, I think, because you don't have to worry, because end run, end run right is often a bad play for the offense, and linebacker you can run draws against 3-4s at times and stuff. But so if you look at the file, don't just go straight down. You got to get inside the numbers. I mean, look at this. Even Jamal Charles shows you how great his card is this year for just playing rushing. This doesn't count to the fumbles, but he's 7th overall, and he can't run linebacker. I guess wrong. 397. He's not good at it. I mean, so that's so you really got to look at that. I mean, it's great when you have a guy who can run all 3 columns, and we don't like that. But guys who can run 2 out of 3 columns can still be very effective. So Ivory's not a total fluke. He doesn't have the type of card that makes people want to guess run all the time. So you're running wrong more often, and that's another reason why he's going off you. So
yep. Yeah, it's been a really fun season, really surprising season. So hopefully I can keep it going and at least make a deep playoff run, even if I can't win the Super Bowl.
All right, so let's look real quick, since you are undefeated and trying back-to-back undefeated seasons at your chances of doing it. And then we'll go a little quick with the other team. But this is an incredible story. Just like we do with Lawrence's team. It's not because it's you, Dennis, and I'm your buddy. But, we spent a lot of time. Lawrence was 8-0. And as a favorite, spent a lot of time opening the show on him, and rightly so. Arizona. And here we go.
Yeah, 2 good coaches.
San Diego, is that Paul?
Yeah, Paul. Paul and Kurt.
So you got Arizona's 5-3. So what are we wasting our time for? You to lose to one of these guys. All right, just the show's over, folks. Yeah. Dennis will lose this quarter. You play Arizona 5-3. Paul's only 4-4. I don't know how good his team is. How good is Paul's team?
Paul's team is
looking over, right?
I have he has the Jameis Winston rookie card and David Johnson. So David Johnson's his big offensive star. He has Justin Forsett.
There's turnovers there, and Winston, it is a rookie card, so it's not like you're getting an experienced, really good quarterback card. We both picked Paul to be 500 or better. Arizona, I picked 7-9. I picked 8-8. You picked 7-9, but they are 5-3, 4-4. So there's a chance.
Yeah, Arizona has Spencer Ware and Tom Brady.
While I turn off my TV. Hold on a second.
Okay. So Arizona has Tom Brady and Spencer Ware, so they're very dangerous offensively. So I don't expect that to be an easy win either.
No. Well, kind of easy wins. Then in the fourth quarter, you play the Jets, which is not me in SOMSFA. That's Akron Dave, I believe, right?
Correct.
I think he's the one that started off 4-0 and then went 0-4 in the second quarter.
Right.
So he's good, looking to get back on track. You play the Chiefs, are currently 3-5. You play LA 1-7, and then you play Denver, who was 3-3. I think they've played a game. I think I saw that somewhere. Denver is now 4-3.
Right.
So Arizona's 5-3, San Diego 4-4, Denver 4-3. Then some losing teams down there. I don't know. I think the odds look pretty good that you can go undefeated. You gotta look for Paul or Kurt or the Denver coach who's 4-3 to come up with the upset. Maybe get a couple of lucky rolls. And you said that Arizona's Brad in this league. Arizona's Brad Lane.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Denver's
Kurt. Yeah. And you got so far. So you might be due for a game with a couple of bad turnovers or a special teams fumble or something that you have to try and overcome. We'll be watching it to see if you go 16-0. Now it's always tough to ask somebody this, so maybe I shouldn't even put you on the spot. But do you feel like your team's going to go 16-0?
I don't, like I said, I haven't had one of those, oh my God, there's no way I can win this game. I haven't had where every time you throw short, it lands on a 9 on the D card. I expect one of those games to happen. So I would say 15-1 is probably the more likely outcome. Maybe 20%, 30%, 40% chance I go 16-0, something like that. It's more likely than not.
Now, maybe I pick you too often because it seemed like every show I pick your team to win the Super Bowl, or at least to make it. But I kind of feel like you got a little screwed last year. The three-peat, it didn't come through. And now all of a sudden your team's doing way better than you thought they were going to do. I think your team's going to win the Super Bowl. I don't know if you go 16-0 or not. 15-1. I think you'll go 15-1 or 16-0 and make the Super Bowl. The Strat gods like rectifying the ship after they denied you the three-peat last year. 3 out of 4. 3 out of 4 is more than ain't bad. I mean, 3 out of 4 while making it in the 4th year also is pretty damn good.
I take it.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Dennis, is as I take a rare shot at Ed Barrow, NFL Ed, is Ed set up SOMSFA with all this fancy draft strategy and all this work he did into assigning all these groups to promote parity, Dennis, to make sure that we wouldn't have dynasties and wouldn't have one team dominating. And it's good to see that plan is really coming through. What do you think?
But
very good. Yeah. What season is this for SOMSFA? What was the first year of SOMSFA?
The year before that. So this would be the 5th year. Ed won the first year, and then I won.
I won one,
and then
okay. Now who knows what's going to happen? Okay. All right. Interesting. But all right. Now moving on down the line, we have current standings, which are slightly different.
And I will say, in defense of the parity thing, that you have every single team. If you look at these standings, between 6 wins and 3 wins, that's like a huge. Yeah, we do have one team that's 10-0, but if you look at that, you're talking almost 18 teams or something like that.
Pretty fair spread, but
so the games are competitive, and I think the had bad teams, and it happened to a couple of the teams, and they've intentionally tried to rebuild or tried to go for it.
Yeah, we do have a couple of 1-7 teams, 2-8. You're 10-0, they're 8-2, but yeah, most of the teams look like they've got between 6-2 and 3-5. So, that's good. I'm just kind of teasing about that. Actually, that was the reason I didn't join SOMS originally. I didn't like that setup. I mean, I love the idea. I drafted the Masters FA team from scratch, which is why I'm in love with that franchise. If I could have drafted another team from scratch in a minor keeper league, oh man, I would have been all over that. Oh gosh, can you imagine the posting? As I explained the brilliance behind my 43rd round pick in the inaugural draft.
It was a lot of fun, even doing it this way that you didn't like or you didn't want. Yeah. It was nice to be able to build your own team, even if you had to use certain combinations. It was fun. What's okay? Right, back to the Giants.
All right, the Giants, the New York Football Giants. Now we got 3 teams that currently have 3 teams that are 6-2 or better. So these are the teams that are jockeying to get the 2 seed. Try to get a home field advantage. Maybe avoid Dennis until the Super Bowl, hopefully. And one of them is the only team that we both picked for the Super Bowl, which is Jersey Joe Golden's New York Giants, who are 8-2. They were 6-2 in the file, and then started the 3rd quarter strong. 31-21 victory over the Bengals, and 21-17 hard-fought victory over the Steelers. That's Ron Martin's Steelers team, which is 6-4, and the great coach Ron is. So that was a big game for Joe. They were both in 7-3 otherwise. Now there was only plus 19 in the point differential for the first half of the season. And looking real quick, his 2 losses were to Detroit 30-14, and you crushed him 41-8. So he's going to have to revisit the playbook in the Super Bowl rematch. And then his victories, he crushed me 33-3. Beat Oakland 30-20, beat Miami, close game, 25-23. Denver close game. So he's won a couple of close games and he got blown out in one game. So that's partly why that point differential is so close. You might see it spread out more as you get to the second half.
Right. I think if you were looking at a SOMSFA showcase game, his matchup with the San Francisco Giants would be a really fun one to watch. I'm interested in seeing how that game comes out.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I think against the San Francisco 49ers might even be better.
What did I say?
The Giants, San Francisco Giants.
Oh, sorry, San Francisco 49ers against the New York Giants. 49ers and Giants.
Yeah, so let's see what he's done here as we go to the standings. Fourth down efficiencies, we're getting beat on fourth down, 10 of 18 for the opposition. He needs to work on that. Red zone efficiency is pretty equal. He's only ahead, so you can see why the point differential is not great for him. The yardage isn't that much ahead. The red zone differential, he's actually a little worse. He's +1 on the interceptions. So a lot of stats fairly even. Interesting that he's used two quarterbacks. I know Brandon Weeden got injured for me a couple of times, and I had him in SOMSFA. I wonder if these are injury substitutions or Joe decided to go with Derek Carr. Weeden gets 10 picks. Interception percentage.
That's pretty high.
I hope he's not throwing bombs at Weeden. I mean, Joe's a good coach. So the running game, let's see what he's doing more. He's passing a lot more than he's running at 266 to 200. So maybe he's just had bad luck. I don't know. He's thrown 13 picks.
I do remember him pulling Weeden and going with Carr at some point during my game out of frustration with Weeden's play.
Yeah, so. Well, of course, the final of that game was 41-8. So you might as well go to the backup quarterback under those circumstances. Chris Johnson's got a 6.4 average. Le'Veon Bell 5.1, but he's been passing more. Looks like mostly a flat pass attack. John Brown's got a healthy 17.3. So we'll see. He's got Gary Barnes 9.1. So it looks like he's throwing a lot of flats on offense. We've completed 62.6. I like to see some short passes to Robinson. When I had him in SOMSFA, I really would try to avoid throwing flat to him and only throw to him short, or if I threw the occasional bomb, which Weeden's not good at. It's like you hit those big yardage on the receiver wrong. You're not going to double team him because of his card. So you're going to waste it on a flat pass double team, Yeah. But Joe's a real good coach. He's only been sacked 6 times, got up 9 sacks. So we'll see what he does. And the rest of the way, we already know he beat Pittsburgh. You mentioned the showcase against the Niners, who are 6-2. I'm not that I'm doing any showcases, or not planning on it, but I'm just saying Cincinnati's 4-4, maybe 4-5 down to no. So the rest of the way, he's got some good teams. He's got some teams that aren't that great. He's 8-2 already. So you got to feel like he'll probably win at least 4 of those games and win to go at least 12-4, right, Dennis?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that you'll see the turnovers flip back. Right now he's negative turnover differential, but as he continues to work that bad luck out, that'll switch around. So he'll be like +3 or +4.
Yeah. You would think that a Brandon Weeden-led team, would do pretty well in the turnover category. So unless maybe a bunch of picks one game, I don't know. Then moving on to the Eagles, that's Billy Vargas, right?
Yep.
I think is it his second year perhaps in the league, or maybe his third. I remember when he joined.
I don't. I can look it up though. I think he might have been there almost the whole time. Let's see if I can find out.
Now Philly's 6-2, and I remember at one point maybe you were 4-0, or maybe you were 5-0.
Okay, yeah. Bill came in at the end, at the second quarter of the first season. The third season. He took over in September for Cleveland, and then renamed to Philadelphia. So it was the third season.
Okay. So
he played. This would be his third season playing.
Third season, but his second full season.
Correct.
So he's had 2 off seasons with the team, and obviously he's done a good job because they're 6-2. And I remember when you were 4-0 or 5-0, you're looking at this game in your second quarter block and saying, you know what, this Philly game could be tough. That's a game that I need if I'm going to have an 8-0 start. And you did well in that game. You beat them 34-13. What do you remember about Bill's team? What's your impression of this team?
I think I was really lucky in that game again, but he played me tough all the way up through the third quarter. It was like 20-13. I was only up by a touchdown, and then I got 2 late touchdowns in the game to make it look like a bigger score than it was. But it was a single score game with about 6 minutes. Actually, as the fourth quarter started, it was 20-13 as the fourth quarter started. So I do remember it being a tough game. I think his combo of Phillip Rivers and Jamal Charles works well. He did have Charles lose a fumble, which hurt him in his attempt to tie the game. But and again, that's another game where Chris Ivory hit a big number. He had a 53-yard touchdown run, which it's crazy how many times I've hit that. That was right before the end of the half, and if I wouldn't have gotten that, it would have been 10-10 going into halftime.
Yeah, those end of the half long runs in the final 2 minutes. How many Strat games have you played on the computer over the years? where somebody gets a huge run like in the last 2 minutes of the first half, and it makes a big difference in the game, changes the complexion.
Absolutely.
Now Billy is 6-2. That lost to you, also lost to Houston. Got a pretty good team. Let's see if we have any good wins in here. He beat Oakland. He beat Denver, who's now 4-3. So that's not a bit. That's a pretty decent win. Losses if they started the 4-0, now they're 4-4. Kansas City is struggling, so he hasn't really had a tough schedule so far. So we'll see if his team is challenged more greatly in the second half. It doesn't look like he has a very tough schedule this block. Then in the last group of games, I don't know. It doesn't look like he has a tough schedule this year. So he might be in good shape to who knows, do something really good. Maybe run the table or something. I don't know what his defense looks like. Now his point differential is interesting. He's only plus 15 in point differential, a 6-2 team. We mentioned that with Jersey Joe. That's because his 2 losses have been one-sided on the scoreboard, even though he said he hung tough with you until the fourth quarter. Lost 31-7 to Houston, lost 34-13 to you. And that'll do it. So then when you look at the stats, you have a guy close in point differential. One of the first things I look at when I look at team stats is the yardage, and he's actually getting outgained by 2 yards. So it's not a dominant performance so far by the Eagles, but he's done a good job coaching to get to 6-2. He's turned the ball over 8 times. He's received 11, so he's plus 3 in turnovers. Those always help. And when I see the yardage close and the turnovers, plus 3 is nice, but it's not dominant. The team's 6-2. I look for other things, and what do I see? I guess he's playing conservative. He's only gone for 2 fourth downs. He's punted more often than not. But the third down efficiency, 51% to 42%. That's a big deal. He's getting off the field more than the other guy is. He's got more first downs than the other guy does. Red zone, 74% offense, 56% on defense. So that's where he's doing it. And then the key spots,
right?
The other guy in third down, and Bill's doing a better job in the red zone, both on offense and on defense. 56% defense red zone is outstanding. So whatever he's doing there, he needs to keep it up. And he's got the cards on offense. Phillip Rivers is doing a very nice job at Rivers. You see he's thrown 260. He's throwing the ball over 30 times a game, but yet only 5 interceptions, a 90 rating, the 69.7 completion percentage. You're telling me a lot of flat passes.
Exactly.
That's
what I remember in my game is he really controlled the game time of possession wise with a flat passing game, and that's what Phillip Rivers' strength is. It's all about the flat passing game.
Yeah, well, he's got plus 20 time of possession for the season in minutes, and then he's only gone fourth down twice. So, and the completion percentage for Rivers and stuff. So he's probably going ball control. Kind of traditional conservative field position. I'm going to play that style of game, which can be very effective. We all know, and is usually more effective than a wide open style of game. Jamal Charles is doing very well, 530 yards, 6-yard average. Bilal Powell is doing nicely, 463, 5.9. And let me add, Dennis, as we've started looking at some numbers for next year, because we're only 2 months away, Dennis.
I know, crazy.
Release of the new Strat football ratings. Bilal Powell might end up having a tremendous rushing card next year.
Yeah.
He had like a 5.5 average on a team that can't throw the ball. And he had over 800 yards. It was not like only 400 yards. It was a little interesting to see if he gets a great card or not. I know Bill hopes he does. There'll be no Jamal Charles. And then you can see, Dennis, one of the things I look at as I give as a giveaway, Dennis, I'm fond of giving away all of my secrets when we do these shows. I don't know why, but I do. I'm open source. But one of the things I look at when I scout a team, if I scout a team and look at their stats, one of the things I look at is their receiver averages. So I look at these receiver averages. I say, this guy's throwing flat passes all the time. So I know then, all right, I got to watch out for the flat pass. Now, there's always the cat and mouse. If a guy looks like he has a flat pass attack, he maybe try to throw an early bomb to keep you honest. But it's just, something to keep in the back of my head. Because you feel like people are always going to kind of regress back to their tendencies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know who else does that? Who actually turned me on to that at first is Nathan. We were talking one night, and he was saying, "Yeah, look at the the average for the receivers, and then look, there's a Strat-O-Matic report that tells you like how many first downs that those receivers catch. Because if you're throwing to a guy and you're throwing short, you're going to get more first downs than you are if you're throwing flat. You can tell the average as well. And that tells you, like, on third down, is he, what's he doing on third downs? Is he throwing short on third downs? Or is he hitting those guys consistently? And that tells you as well. Can't remember what that report was.
Yeah, it's called the Strat-O-Matic report. I can see where it's really good. I actually don't use it. Not because it's not good, but it's a little time consuming for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it probably only takes a couple of minutes to let's look at Larry Fitzgerald on Philly. Maybe I should do my team. I don't want to expose Bill's secrets. Taking a team that doesn't matter, like my rebuilding Ravens.
Okay, fine. Go for the Ravens.
Oh, they're rebuilding. Let's look at Demaryius Thomas, who I don't care for very much. How do you do his? I don't even know. I don't even know how to bring it up. So you click on your team. You go to reports. Did that? Then you go to player and Strat-O-Matic report. Then it gives you one on then you got to click down here. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So I'll do Jared Cook. Since he's here. Let's see. Okay. As you can tell, I don't really use this that much.
No, but you got it. You're exactly right. So you're looking at.
I don't see first downs here anywhere.
No, but you're seeing the breakdown between look in, short, and long. So the number of times they were guessed right, total they were thrown to. So you can see, like, for this guy, he's throwing this meaning you. Yes. You're throwing more
60 flat passes, 24 short.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're only throwing short 24 times. You've thrown that 60 times flat, and only 6 long passes, which you've completed. You got.
So perhaps. Right. So when I still get 6 long passes and I'm 0 for 6, perhaps I need to not call that play as often.
Well, sometimes they'll hit guess right. Who knows? So
Well, there's a lot of things in here that people can use to
scout.
But I think the one that is really great that everyone needs to know about is the offensive tendency. Click on a team, click on reports team, offensive tendency right here. I love this one. Because you can even have this open the game. 1st and 10, it tells you what percentage during the season the guy has done this stuff.
Right.
Which I think I find that pretty helpful, and maybe you don't have to look for things as deeply as you do with the other stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, the good coaches, they're going to zig when you think they're going to zag, and this and that. And I know some people look at their offensive tendencies to figure out what should I make sure I don't call here because it's too obvious. Because I think the other guys looking at the offensive tendencies, like in the plays, like I've seen you do that. I know you do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where you
I've never thrown look-ins on this situation. 4th and 1, I'm going to throw a look-in. Yeah. Or has this guy? He always throws to so and so. Yeah. That can be useful. Although you can be set up that way too. You got to be careful.
Yeah, I tend to not self-scout as I reveal more secrets, my offensive tendencies, but I do use it during the game to give you an idea. But again, the good coaches, the personnel, the matchups, you can't. I do find the bad coaches, you can nail them way more on their offensive tendencies.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of being a good coach, being unpredictable. They're not mixing it up enough. So, all right. So Philly's looking good, 6-2, doing a nice job. Soft schedule remaining. I like the play style he's using with his team. So I think he's got a good chance to be there. The semifinals or better and be heard from. Move on to NFL Ed's team is 6-2. I don't think he's played yet this quarter. He's the last of the teams that are 6-2 or better. Okay, and he's got a more healthy 5-point differential. He lost badly to you, 30-14. So not only are you 10-0, but you handily beat the 3 teams that are 6-2 or better behind you: the Giants, the Eagles, and the Niners. I know you said the Eagles game was closer, and you're going to tell me all the luck you've gotten, but the bottom line is you've handily beaten these guys. So.
Yeah, sometimes you have a team like that, or you have a season where you're on the top of the standings and you haven't played any of the top teams yet. But I've played the other teams, and throw Dallas in there too. They were 5-2. They only have 2 losses, and they're another one that I got lucky against.
Okay. Yeah. San Francisco lost to you 38-14. Lost to Oakland 19-11. Oakland's only win of the season. was a bad luck game.
That must have been crazy.
It has to be one of those bad luck games, you know.
So that's what I'm telling you. I'm expecting one of those games to happen to me. It's going to happen. You can't go a whole season without one of these games where you're playing. Okay, I'm going to be playing like in fourth quarter. I'll be playing Nathan, who at the time will be like 1-11 with his Los Angeles rebuilding Rams team, with 2 zeros on the offensive line at pass blocking, and I'll wind up losing that game because I get like a 90 out of 100 chance of a sack, and his 0 will come up with a block. Hey, I'm gonna let you take over for a little bit. I gotta go run my son to college. I'll be back. So I'll be back in 10 minutes.
All right. Okay. So I'll continue, and I tend to go slowly when I'm by myself, and I have to somehow prevent that from happening. Be a little more mindful. But in the San Francisco Oakland game, Oakland's 1-7. Who's the Oakland coach in the SOMSFA now? I don't know if CJ Parrott is in the SOMSFA or if he took over in another league. That is Chuck. Chuck, who's new. I think this is his first year. Yeah, but he had an offensive fumble recovery for a touchdown. Only was at the 2 already. He made a 51-yard field goal with Carlos Santos. Had missed a field goal. And a couple of 2 interceptions, like I mentioned. Let's see what else happened in that game. Tyrod Taylor wasn't doing much. Good win for Oakland. Good to see that. But anyways, Ed 6-2. Let's look at the wins here. He beat Paul 35-24. It's always a good win if you beat Paul. Paul's real good. Beat Arizona with Kurt, who was over 5-3. Beat him 31-21. Beat Ron Martin 24-9. Beat Chicago, was 4-4. Now they're 5-6. Beat Green Bay 20-10. Green Bay is only 3-5. I know the SOMSFA coaches by team nearly as well, or really at all, compared to SOMSFA and SFA. This is like my 3rd season in SOMSFA. The ones I know are the guys who are always the same team. Like Paul's pretty much always the Chargers if he can be. Ed's always the Niners. Dennis is always Seattle. Ramon is Pittsburgh, and I think at least 2 leagues. Nathan, he's Atlanta in 1 league, he's Rams in another league. But Joe Golden is always a Giants. That's good. He's establishing that. And I can swear that Kurt is Arizona in a different league. Brad is Chicago in a different league. We have Lawrence is Chicago when he can be, but he's not Chicago in every league because Brad's got it. It gets confusing. Even I'm not the Jets. I'm usually the Jets, but Dave's got it. So I'm Baltimore. So it can be a little confusing. But the bottom line is NFL is 6-2. We're going to look at the team stats here real quick. Dennis thought this would be quicker, which it probably would be, but we spent some time. Things can come up, and I think his 10-0 start and trying to make 4 straight Super Bowls and win 3 in 4 years is worth spending a lot of time on. And then we spoke about the Strat-O-Matic reports and scouting and things like that. So those are good things to speak about. And I wanted to mention some real NFL news here. I've read before we came on. I go to Pro Football Talk, which I highly recommend, pft.com or profootballtalk.com for any info, for all my NFL news. They do a little paragraph or 2 or 3 paragraphs on even minor moves all year long. Very straightforward a lot of the time. I think they've become a little more opinionated in this last season. But they give you a lot of important information. And they said that apparently Teddy Bridgewater has been told by the Vikings that they are not picking up his 5th-year option. If you're an NFL rookie, if you're an NFL first-round pick, you get a 4-year contract, and before your 4th year, the team can automatically exercise an option for the 5th year. And that pays you like the average salary for your position if you're drafted outside the top 10. And if you're drafted inside the top 10, it's like the average for your position. I forget. But Bridgewater was drafted outside the top 10, and I think it was going to be like maybe a $12 million salary, maybe higher, an $18 million salary. I forget. But there's talk he's going to be out for a lot of this year, maybe the first half of the year, maybe the whole year again after missing all of last year. And it's not a renewal of the knee injury. It's how devastating the original knee injury was. So very rough news for any Bridgewater owners. And you can see where Bradford is going to be established as a Viking starter for the foreseeable future. And if Bridgewater can come healthy and show anything next year, I'm sure he'll be agent market. Shoot, the Jets could use him if he's healthy, that's for sure. We don't have anybody. Of course, we're not going to win too many games this year, so we might get someone in next year's draft. It's supposed to be a very good draft next year, 2018 NFL draft for quarterbacks. So hopefully the Jets, who are terrible this year, get a very high pick, get somebody good finally. You have that a franchise quarterback in ages. Anyway, look at 49ers. Look at this. Ed's getting outgained. 6-2. I just talked about the first thing I notice is always the yard for and against. Ed's getting outgained by almost 900 yards or so, but yet he's averaging a half a yard more play. That's interesting. Ed likes to run the ball, play and plays a little conservatively normally. They see almost an equal split, 217 passes, 216 rushes. And that's always thrown off a little bit when you have a running quarterback like he has Tyrod Taylor, because you have the must runs, which were originally passing plays. Taylor's got 38 rushes. I assume some of those are end runs, and maybe some of those are line books, and maybe some of them are kneel downs. So it's not throwing it off terribly if he's got 15 must runs, but it certainly contributes a little bit. It's something to think about. But Taylor's a low turnover guy that likes to run the ball. Let's see what the turnovers look like. And he's received 11, so he's +6 in turnovers, which have been big for him. Let's see what else is going on for Ed. Again, he's being outgained by, did I say 900 yards? I'm sorry, Ed. He's being outgained by 80 yards. Still, he's being outgained, but less than 100 yards. But you don't expect a 6-2 team to be outgained. He's been outgained by 80 yards, outgained by 13 first downs. He's 10% worse on third down. Gotta work on that, Ed. And he's getting killed in the red zone. He's giving him 84% touchdowns, and he's only scoring 74% touchdowns. So these are not the stats of a team 6-2. I believe that Dennis predicted Ed would make the Super Bowl, whereas I predicted Seattle the Giants. As I keep looking back to that. Yeah, Dennis predicted the Giants over Ed. Very interesting what's going on here. Ed's only been sacked 7 times, only has 9 sacks. The special teams are often overlooked then. We start looking for places where a team is doing better if their stats don't seem to match their record. We already saw the turnovers. And Dennis told me once stats are for losers. And now he wants to pour over the team stats for every team. Well, he would say, well, I said to pick out 1 or 2 items. I got to be fair here, not to pour over everything. But he's not here, so I guess I'm pouring over everything. But let's take a look at some special teams, hidden yardage, as they say. He's averaging 48 yards per punt. The other guy's only 44.4. And look at this. Ed must have a great returner, because his opponent only has 93 return yards the whole season on 11 returns. This is 8.3, but only 11 returns. Ed's got 318 return yards. Okay, so that's 220 yards. I spend some time dabbling in spreadsheets and different things, and for Dennis's Battle Royale leagues, I've looked at special teams impact in terms of yardage per game and stuff. And here you see him, and Ed's getting, 220 plus punt return yards. He's getting more punts returned. They'd return 31. They punted 31. He punted 29. So the punt numbers are similar. I mean, that's 25 yards a game in an 8-game season. So if he had 25 yards a game more rushing than the guy, you'd be like, oh wow, that's good. So, I mean, we all like the yards from scrimmage because you move the chains and you got to keep generating first downs. But the special teams yards are important also. Just maybe not quite as important, but still important. Now, having said all that, now I undermine myself because he's actually getting killed in the kick returns. Well, the other team's got 19 kick returns for 512 yards. Average. That's 380, 130. It's like 26. And look at 9 returns for 230, which is also a good average. Many fewer returns because he's allowing fewer points. So maybe that's what that's about. And I guess he's taking more touchbacks or something. It doesn't show you, let's see, the average starting field position. There you go. Ed starts to drive at his own 32. His opponent starts at their own 22. So I should have looked at that directly, I suppose. But, between the turnovers and that type of thing, and fewer of the punts he makes being returned, that's 10 years possession. There's going to be about 12 or 13 possessions per game. So I took, that's like 120, 130 yards. You can look at it that way, but people don't for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what's helping it so far this year a lot. It's easy. It's harder to find the so-called hidden yardage. And look, Ed's a great coach. I think Dennis and I have been picking him for Super Bowls and championships over the last few seasons. We do these 3 a year now. SOMSFA, SSFA, and SOMSFA. But we pick him because he's Ed, and he's great, and he's got a lot of success. So we're never surprised if he makes it, and we're always surprised if he, maybe doesn't do as well as we'd expect. So there's a lot of good coaches out there nowadays. So looking the rest of the way, it's already got some good wins. LA, Carolina, I think are struggling. San Francisco against the Giants is a game that Dennis already mentioned. Atlanta's 500. They're in the mix. Plays me. My team's not too good. Miami's not doing too well. Dallas is 5-3, I think now. And Detroit, I think, is not too bad. Detroit's 5-3. Dallas is now 5-3. Detroit's 5-3. And the Detroit coach in SOMSFA is Mick. Okay. There's some consistency. Mick likes to be Detroit. He's a Detroit fan. So he's got some tough games. Remaining. The Jersey Joe game and a couple others, but I think he'll be right there. I think he'll do well. 11-5, 12-4, that type of thing. And I like that Joe Golden's out to an 8-2 record already. Outside of the San Fran game, he does have some tough teams left, but I like that team. I remember looking at that team, and Joe's a real good coach. I think the SOMSFA guys are just getting to know him and to see that. But I played against him for several years in Battle Royale. He's a very, very good coach. Which is part of why he was my preseason pick to win the Super Bowl. But these 3 teams, Giants, Eagles, and Niners, will be jockeying for that 2, 3, and 4 spot and trying to stay ahead of these 5-3 teams. Which one of them can jump up there with a 7-1 quarter, a 7-1 second half of the season, which is easily doable. Look at Dallas now, who's 5-3. Is this Jody's club? This is Jody. His first year with this team, first year in SOMSFA, I believe. We got a package deal with him and Dave Gabbard. These guys left to trade. They were posting like madmen all over the SOMSFA section. Jody was only 5-2, and then played the last game of his block. I think after the deadline, he was only at 5-2. And usually Ed's leagues, everyone's so good at making the deadline. That was against Kurt, who also had an outstanding game against Washington. That's Mike Nemo. There's a 13-10 loss for Dallas. Denver, a tough one for them. Good one for Denver, who was only 3-3 at the time. They needed that to push ahead. But so Dallas is right there with 3 of the clubs at 5-3, looking up at the 6-2 teams. Home field advantage does matter in the Ed's leagues in the playoffs because the home team will use the good pass defense cards, the average pass defense cards, and the interceptions particularly. That's a pretty significant difference, and I've seen it come up in games. Sticking with Dennis's style, trying to do less than 5 minutes in each team. We've already blown that out of the water. Let's try to implement that now as we get to this part of the standings. Now these stats are only through 7 games, and I didn't even look and see who we beat and lost to. He lost 35-0 to Dennis. Dennis was here. He's not on the air now. Dennis is a humble guy. He's modest. Oh, I got lucky in this game. I got lucky. He destroyed. We done the top 5 teams of the standing. His team was first. He destroyed all the other teams. The Eagles game was close in the 4th quarter, but on the scoreboard, I mean, he had strong one-sided victories over the other teams. And these guys are good coaches. You see what they've done. So, I mean, look, Dennis is a man. Dennis is great, and I kind of hope his team wins Super Bowl. This might be hard for people to believe, but I kind of felt bad that I ruined his 3-peat bid when they beat him in the Super Bowl last year, and I got lucky to do so. But wow, I mean, come on, 10-0. He's winning by 25 points a game on average. He's played every good team and beaten them. I mean, man, that's very impressive. And we all know what he's done in the past in other leagues, so it's very impressive. And you see here, he beat Dallas 35-0. Now Dallas, their other loss was a close one, 30-27 to Kansas City. That is Luke. I'm your father. Spoiler alert. But that movie came out like 34 years ago, so too bad. I'm pretty sure most people have seen that, or know, certainly know it. It's part of the consciousness now. Close loss, and look, you're gonna lose. You're not gonna win every game that you quote unquote should win. Kansas City's 3-5. They're not 1-7. That's always gonna happen in the NFL, and it happens in Strat. Let's see. Victories beat Buffalo 26-7. Beat Atlanta 33-27. Atlanta is who was it? Jason Owens in this league is 4-4. Beat Chicago, which is Lawrence, and his team's around 500. He's 5-6 now. Beat that team by a field goal. That's not a bad victory. They beat my club 15-10. That was a close game. I remember that. So Jody's doing a nice job. 5-3, and the rest of the way. Play the Jets 4-4, San Diego 4-4, Green Bay 3-5, Philly 6-2, Dallas Giants 8-2. So let's see if we can get a couple of softer games at the end to make up for that. Houston, who I think now is 5-4, maybe 6-5. Is that Butch? That is Butch. 6-5. San Fran, and we just spoke about 6-2, and then finally Miami, even 3-5. So that's not too bad. There's only three teams at the midway point that were worse than 3-5. Miami's coached by Joe D, who I think is also new. Schedule remaining. They start off 5-2, now you're 5-3. You got a tough schedule the rest of the way. They don't play anybody who's awful. They don't play anybody here with the 2 wins or less. Kansas City was just 3-7 now. They'll play one team that's under 500 the rest of the way, it looks like. The team was only outscoring the opponent by 5, but again, they lost to Dennis 35-0. So that skews the point differential. That's just ruining my point differential analysis by blowing all these guys out. And you see the yardage through 7 games was pretty similar, up by about 106 yards. Turnovers 8 and 12. So he has been +4 in turnovers. Time of possession, he's been ahead big time. First downs, he's a +21. Red zone efficiency is similar. He's only averaging 4.1 yards of carries, passing the ball way more than he runs it. Looks like a flat pass attack with a 5.9. That's what you'd expect with A.J. McCarron in there. Interceptions. Carlos Williams, Rashad Jennings. Not bad backs. They need to run the ball a little more. So people don't sit on those flats. Just have Deshaun Jackson, who could scare people and make them respect the pass. So maybe a little more running in order. We'll see. But Dallas is 5-3, and done a nice job to be 5-3. He's gonna have a very tough second half. I'm not sure he's even going to finish over. I'm not sure he's going to go 4-4. I'm not sure that he'll go even 4-4 in the second half. It might be tough, and he might not make the playoffs despite the 5-2 start, or even the mini playoffs. We'll see. I think he could even possibly finish under 500. It's a very tough schedule remaining. So let's see what Joe can do the rest of the way. It'll be one to watch. And I try to call it like I see it. I'm not trying to insult anybody. That's just how I see it there. So moving on down to Arizona 5-3, but Dennis is going to come back in and be like, what? You only did 2 teams? Arizona is Brad Lane, even though I keep thinking it's Kurt. I think Kurt must be Arizona in SSFA, just to add to confusion. And I'm looking at the league manager. He's looking over here, which is fine because other teams have played games. But Arizona's 5-3. Something like that. That's Luke, as I hear Dennis's wife talking. The kids are in trouble. Dennis could, it could have muted his microphone perhaps for leaving. That would have worked. I could actually mute it or reduce the volume on it, but I gotta figure out how to do that, and I won't because of the pain in the neck. 5-3 Cardinals started off 1-3, then went 4-0 in the second quarter. So great job by Brad there. That 1-3 start included a loss to me. Come on, Brad, what are you losing to me for? Lost to Lawrence Green 30-17, lost to Ed by 10, and defeated Mike by 1 point. So he was close to being 0-4. And then he comes charging back. 3-point victory over Carolina, 20-10 victory over LA. Now, of course, the schedule gods helped them out there, as those two teams are currently 3-15 combined. San Diego beat Paul by a field goal. Paul's always good. And Butch is good. He beat Butch 17-13. So Brad's done a real nice job. Being outscored for the year by 6. But it's a 1-3 start. He's 5-3. Let's see what the schedule looks like the rest of the way. I suspect there's going to be some tough games in there because he played some of the bottom teams already. He's going to play Denver, who's 4-3. He's going to play Dennis, who's 10-0. He's going to play Mick. And
yeah, I'm back.
Hey, Dennis, we're up to Arizona. We're up to Arizona, and I'm trying to focus on the 5-minute rule here.
Okay.
This is Brad Lane's team. They started out 1-3, then went 4-0 in the second quarter, which is a great job. A couple of good wins in there against Butch and Paul, but also some favorable scheduling as you played Nathan and Dave Gabbard, who have combined to be 3-15 through the first half of the season. So I'm predicting a tougher second half schedule for Arizona. He's got to play Denver 4-3. He's going to play your team 10-0. He's got to play Mick's Detroit Lions, who are 5-3. And he's got to play Arizona 3-5. So it's a bit of a tough block there. Then he plays Miami, who's 3-5, plays the Jets 4-4, 3-5, and the Giants 8-2. So a tougher second half for Brad in terms of the schedule. And looking at the team stats, you see being outgained by 150 yards. You see that he is -2 in turnovers. He's got Tom Brady and Spencer Ware, which Dennis told you about. This is interesting. People score touchdowns when Brad plays because it's 89% offensive red zone efficiency, 83 defensive. And Brady is at 8 touchdowns, 80 deceptions, 57.3 completed. He is running the ball a fair amount, 224 to 248. So he's trying to
mix it up.
Yep, open up the passing game with the ground game. He's to work on that pass defense. Almost 62% completed with a 7 average gain. And Alfred Blue, Spencer Ware only 65 carries in 8 games. I'd like to see that number go higher. Alfred Blue leading the team in rushing. So Ware. So we'll see what happens with this team. They're 5-3. It's a tougher second half. I think a 4-4 finish should be in order. Probably get to the mini playoffs. Maybe does better. Maybe gets to 5-3. Moving on down to Mick now, Dennis, who is 5-3, and finally a healthy point differential. All these guys all these guys get winning records, 5-3, 6-2, and they're barely outscoring the other guy, or they're getting outscored.
Yeah.
Brad's getting outscored by 6. Now Detroit is outscoring the team by 34. Okay, and historically, teams think of analysts tend to think of that as a barometer of how great a team is compared to. You're at 10-6, and you're only like +10 in points scored. If you're 10-6 and you're +60 in points scored, they're more impacted by the latter. Now, let's see this team 5-3. They lost to Dave Akron's Jets 24-7 during Dave's hot start. Lost to Butch's Texans 30-20, but it's pretty good. Lost to me 26-16. Inexcusable, Mick. What are you doing? And his victories, he beat the Giants. Joe Golden's a very nice win there. Beat Buffalo. Who's Buffalo? That's Jason Owen, I said.
Yep.
31-28. It was good. Then he beat Dave Gabbard handily and beat Paul. So he's got some nice wins on the resume here with his 3-1 second quarter. I mean, you beat Rob Martin, you beat Paul, you beat Joe Golden. So that's a good look for a 5-3 team. And then you go second half. Here's a good matchup. They got to play Philly, who's real good, 6-2. They got to play Cincinnati, which is who in this league? That is
that Jeff?
Jeff Wenlett.
Yep.
Yeah, Jeff Wenlett. Yep. Who's 4-4 in the standings, in the league manager anyway. He's going to play Arizona, who we just said is good, 5-3. Kansas City now 3-7. Oakland struggling, 1-7. Struggling. Denver's pretty good. And San Fran. So we've got a mix in the second half of some real good teams, but also some teams that aren't that great. So I'd expect Mick to maybe post another 5-3 of the season. Get to about 10-6 and probably be dangerous come postseason. What do we predict for Mick before the season? Because I remember he was rebuilding at one point. I thought fairly recently. I predicted 6-10. You predicted 7-9. So he's really done a nice job so far.
Right.
See their expectations. Kansas City is the club that's really falling off. I predicted 10-6. You predicted 9-7. They're only 3-7. Good, Dennis. What are you saying?
I think this could be one of those teams that you face in the first round of the playoffs, 10-6, that you think, oh, I'm going to take care of this guy, no problem, and he winds up upsetting you because he just mixed coaching and some good dice can go his way, and next thing you know, he's into the semifinals.
Yeah, I always worry about the 10-6 teams. I never think of them as really that bad. The 9-7 teams are the ones where, like, if I have a good team, like, well, I should beat this team.
Right.
9-7. But 10-6 is like, a break here, there. The team could be 11-5, 12-4. Now Mick is also getting outgained. This is a very weird season, Dennis, with teams with winning records, not having good point differentials, and/or getting outgained from scrimmage.
Yeah, and some of that I thought, well, that's because they played me, and I got this big 30-point win against them. But
that didn't happen with some of the other teams.
Yeah, I didn't play Mick, so it's not that. I think it's just the teams are very close in talent-wise. It's kind of like almost like a battle royale league where everybody's kind of the same level. Of course, this is a
so maybe I need to retract my
parody is allowed.
Yes, my worry about parody. And I think I remember when we did the SOMSFA show, we felt like there were a lot of teams that were at least pretty good. Not so many teams that were awful. Well, as you can see, we only predicted one team, the Rams, to go worse than 5-11.
Correct. You're right.
So usually if a team's real bad, you might get a couple of 2-14, 3-11, 3-13, 4-12. You might get 4 or 5 teams predicted that way by us. Not that that's the barometer, but it shows you that even in the predictions, we thought that the league was pretty competitive this year, except maybe at the very top. But so they're getting outgained by 203 yards. Interceptions. He must be double teaming like very successfully. He's +7 in turnovers. He's also getting some nice yardage there in those returns, averaging almost 20 yards per reception return. So he's +7 in the turnovers. I like this. 4th down efficiency. He's 73%. The other guy's 39%. Now, if you have a winning record, the other guy will usually be worse on his 4th down efficiency because he's going for it late in the game when he has to,
Right.
But, Mick's going for it aggressively and being very successful and being rewarded. And the red zone efficiency is also, I always think, a big stat. 77% for him, 66% for the other, for the opponent. So touchdown, speed, field goals. And Mick's showing it there. He's actually running the ball more than he passes it, which is surprising. Devonta Freeman on pace for nearly 2,000 yards, 982 yards, and a 5.2 average. He's another guy that's probably playing better than we would have thought he would when we looked at the cards. We mentioned Chris Ivory earlier. Freeman was excellent. Freeman was outstanding for me in SOMSFA. I didn't run him as much as Mick is, but he's been outstanding here. What are you saying, Dennis?
That end run column wrong on Freeman is just fantastic. It reminds me a lot of Ivory's off tackle wrong, except Ivory's got a few bigger numbers at the edges.
Yeah, I think Ivory's got bigger numbers at the edges, but Freeman's got like almost every other number is a short. Yeah, almost every other number is a short gain, which I prefer, I think, to the bigger numbers at the edges. So they're both real good. And of course, Ivory's is not an end run card. An end run right is always a little risky, so there's a little safer to run Ivory in between the tackles. And let's see, Matthew Stafford's got 69% completed, 6.9 average gain. Maybe some West Coast action going in there. Again, you see all the low receiving averages. It indicates that with A.J. Green being the guy. I think things look good for Mick. I'd like to see another 5-3 a half, 10-6 record, get in the playoffs, and see what happens. And again, we did not predict him to do much because he was supposed to be rebuilding. 7-9 for you, 6-10 for me. So great job, Mick. Now I got to stay with this file so I don't skip anybody's team. Martin, now we're almost done with a couple of parties, but Ron Martin's Pittsburgh Steelers 6-4 right now. We try and pick up the pace a little bit. Dennis, I did go a little more slowly when you weren't here, although I was trying to go a little quickly. At least I did get a few teams in. So let's see, Ron's losses. He lost to the Rams, 35-29. The Rams only win of the season. The Rams are rebuilding hard, kind of like my SSFA team was. When you're rebuilding, Dennis, one of the keys I found, which I mentioned in our SSFA show, get a couple of zero pass blockers. You'd be surprised at how tremendously they'll impact your offense.
Yeah, it makes it tough.
With unlikely sacks, like Nathan plays to win, I play to win. A horrible team, even if you play to win, you're just not going to win that much. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not really tanking. It's just like having a really bad team and saying, I'm bad, so I'm not going to bother getting a set of 0-4 or whatever. Terrible running back card. Anyway, so he lost to Nathan. That's bad. Lost to Ed 24-9. Lost to Mick 30-24. That was probably a good game. And Rogers had a 1-1 start to his third quarter, which is a 27-14 victory, solid over Lawrence, and then a close 21-17 loss to Joe Golden's Giants. Who are definitely for real. So Ron's doing pretty well. Good wins in there. Beat Kansas City 3-7. Beat Houston, which is like 6-5. That's not bad. Miami's struggling. He beat him. The Jets were only 4-4. Beat him. Cincinnati's around 500. So really hasn't had any big wins yet. We know what a great coach Ron is, 3 or 4 times, something like that. So me for champion. We predicted 11-5 from you, 10-6 from me, and he's heading in that direction. And we look at the schedule the rest of the way. He plays Denver's pretty good. Plays Washington. That's right. Plays Denver's pretty good. Plays Washington is pretty good. Aren't they?
Yeah, and he doesn't have to play me, so that's one team that he does have to play the Giants. That's probably the best team left on his schedule.
No, he already played that game. He lost that game. He played that game and lost it. No, he played that game and lost it.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, that would have been.
So he's got Denver's pretty good. Washington's 3-4, but not bad. Mike Nemo, he's got to play Paul 4-4. Atlanta is around 500. Carolina's struggling. Oakland struggling. So good chance for Ron to move north in the standings. 6-4 now. 6 games remaining. I think 10-6 is easy, and maybe 11-5. I think I might even predict 11-5 for Ron. We didn't look at his stats. Let me try to do that real quick. And soon we'll be doing the lightning round because only a couple of 500 teams left. But he's got Alex Smith as the starting quarterback. I guess he was hurt one game and Gino came in. And Smith's doing okay. The rating's a little low. The completion percentage isn't bad. And the interceptions aren't bad. He's passing way more than he's running it. So more of a flat pass looking type of team. He's plus 600 yardage. Ron's a real good defensive coach. He's doing a great job against the pass defense. Now the turnovers, he is plus 5, which you'd expect. Alex Smith team. And he's throwing a lot of flat passes. He's only got Ronnie Hillman and Isaiah Crowell to run the ball outside of Alex Smith's end run. So you can see why he's passing it a lot.
But he's getting those 6 runs a game or 5 runs a game from Alex Smith because he's got 64 rushes already, plus the must runs. So he is using those Alex Smith runs strategically, which is important.
Yeah, and it looks like he's throwing a lot of flats, so he's probably not even getting as many must runs as you might think. And let's move down to Denver. We're going to pick up the pace a little bit as we get to the 500 level teams. Denver's 4-3 right now. I just commented that they defeated Dallas 13-10. Dallas was 5-2, Dennis. Now they're 5-3, but they got a tough schedule the rest of the way. They might not make the playoffs or even the mini playoffs, which I commented on earlier. What team is
Dallas?
Dallas. That's Jody. Yeah.
Oh, he's 5 and he's what? What's his record now?
He's 5-3 right now. He's got a very tough schedule the rest of the way. Very tough.
Got it.
So, going down. Who's talking about Denver? Denver is now 4-3. They're only 3-3 as of here. We shouldn't even cover them because you can't come 2 games short. Well, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, who knows?
Maybe the guy something personal happened. I shouldn't say that. So, anyway, he got 6 games. Unfortunately, you usually like to get all 8 games in. The league is good about that. Sometimes guys fall 1 game short. Rare to see 2 games short. But anyway, he's 4-3. He was 3-3 with a huge point differential thanks to a lopsided victory over the Chiefs. We're struggling at 3-7. That was a 41-7 game. I think that's Luke Dalfium.
Right.
That's his name, Dalfium?
Correct.
Lost to Buffalo and lost a close one to the Giants. They're going to change the season a little bit maybe. Beat LA, which you'd expect. Beat Atlanta, who's around 500 in a close game. And lost to Philly 28-9. Then he beat Dallas, who was 5-2. That's nice. But now it's getting a game at Washington, who's 3-4. And going the rest of the way, Arizona's pretty good. Pittsburgh is good. Miami's struggling a little bit. The Jets are in the mix at 4-4. Green Bay 3-5. Detroit 5-3. Cincinnati's around 500, and Seattle 10-0. So he's 4-3, but he's got a tough schedule the rest of the way. It looks like to me, Dennis. And this is Kurt.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep. He is.
Good.
He is a good coach, and he does have good offensive talent. Like you were just going over Andy Dalton with his running backs.
Yeah, Lamar Miller, and then Tim Hightower for some carries. And Lamar Miller's averaging 6.9 yards a carry, using him judiciously, 116 carries. He's passed the ball 190 times, run at 165. So I thought maybe he was passing it way more than that. based upon Lamar Miller's results, but I guess he's hitting some of those big runs or using him end run only. I didn't just drop. Did I, Dennis? You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. No, I thought maybe I dropped for a minute. That's all right. Go back to what you're doing. But there's only 6 game stats, so skewed. But he's been out getting the opponent by 400 yards. His red zone efficiency has been 90%. Again, only 6 games. The opponent's 76. He's been hurt a little bit with the pass defense. So we'll see what happens with this team. Andy Dalton's got a nice card. Lamar Miller is, kind of touch and go. I bet he's doing better than we predicted. He's already 4-3. Does have a tough schedule, we said, the rest of the way. For Denver, no, we both predicted 9-7. With this schedule, 9-7 seems reasonable.
Yeah,
but he could fall off to 8-8 because the schedule is tough. But Kurt's a pretty good coach. So I think 9-7 will probably get him in there. Maybe even 10-6. Who knows?
Yeah, and
on to the Dennis.
No, I was just gonna say, the 2 games lacking. Just let that be a lesson to you guys. Don't wait till the last week to try to schedule your games because other guys might be on vacation. Get them in early. Get them in often.
Yes, unless you're playing me and I saved the last week of the season of the clock. No, I've actually gotten better about that. This year, I'm actually trying to get my games on early. Houston Texans, 6-5. That's Butch, okay, who always tells me to go gently. He's worried about the excoriating criticism of his team. This team is 6-5. They were 4-5 here after losing to you 28-14 in the third quarter. But Butch has a couple of victories. A 23-16 victory over Jason Owens' Falcons. And a 33-27 victory in overtime against the 3-7 Chiefs. Butch really needed that game because he's right now, and you go to overtime, obviously you can lose. He would have been 5-6 if he'd lost that one. So he's actually got 1 game outstanding. He's only got 5 games left the whole season. He's 6-5. His outstanding game was against Mike Demo. It's 3-4. And in the fourth quarter, he plays LA. He's only got 1 win. Plays Dallas 5-3. Jets 4-4. San Diego 4-4. So a bit of a mixed bag there for Butch. I think 6-5 now. I'm pretty sure he'll get to 9-7. At least.
Right.
3-2, I think. So playoff berth, or maybe playoff berth probably for Butch. Maybe if he's lucky, he gets hot and goes to 10-6. I think I just clicked something terribly. Let me see if I did the wrong thing. Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you, God. Now these are through 9 games when he was 4-5. It includes your game, so these aren't the greatest stats to look at. He was losing at that time. He was -12 in turnovers at that time. Thanks to Carson Palmer, 12 touchdowns, 16 interceptions.
Whoa.
Shevitz completing only 53%. So Butch was eschewing the flat pass. And I know Palmer is really good short and long, not that great flat, but he's only been sacked 6 times, so he's got a great line. But whatever he was doing there, he was having some problems. He just turned around. He got C.J. Anderson and Carlos Hyde, so that's a nice compliment. He's throwing way more passes than runs. I don't know what his run blocking looks like. The pass blocking is good. I might like to see him run the ball a little more to set up the pass. Maybe try and get some short, long pass wrongs with Carson Palmer. But C.J. Anderson's pretty decent, and Carlos Hyde's pretty decent, so you can do that.
Yeah, and that'll help the interceptions. That'll bring the interceptions down, too.
Yeah, it's clear that Butch should definitely listen to me when it comes to what he's doing on offense because he's outgaining the opponent by 1,100 yards, Dennis. Maybe I should keep him out. Butch, I retract the previous statement.
He knows what he's doing.
Well, because of the turnovers. Yeah, he's up by 1,100 yards. All right, Butch. I take that comment back. Up by 1,100 yards. That's outstanding. 2,400 yards allowed in 9 games. That's pretty good, right? That's like 267. Not bad. And the 35 in 9 games is almost 400 yards a game. So the offense has been the key on the field passing. I've heard him. I bet his receiving averages are high. Not terribly, but you got 14 for T.Y. Hilton, 15.6 for Philip Jackson, 13 for Dorsett on 13 receptions. We've seen other teams with 3 or 4 guys barely at 10 yards a catch, so it's a little higher, but not high enough to make you think he's having all kinds of success with the bomb. So we'll see what happens to Butch the rest of the way. 6-5, 9-7 finish. Sounds like it could be a dangerous team in the playoffs because the defense seems like it's doing good. He's got some good running backs, and Palmer's got a good card. What do you think, Dennis?
Yeah, this is the kind of here's a little prediction. If I don't make it to the Super Bowl, it'll be because Butch knocked me out. That's my precise prediction, and I have a feeling I'm going to wind up facing Ed if I get to the Super Bowl, or Ed or Joe.
All right, Butch, so there's no
Butch,
pressure on you, but we
yeah,
all expect you now to
not
make the playoffs and defeat Dennis when he's undefeated. All right, Butch, that's your job.
Hey,
And we look forward to
get
and
to
you will
it.
have let everyone down if you don't do it. No, but yeah, sorry, that's your prediction. You just played Butch. You know that we know Butch is a good coach. You've been in a lot of leagues with him, and you just played him. So you know that he can be tough on you, huh?
Very dangerous team, very dangerous coach.
Jets, Jets. I can barely muster the enthusiasm, Dennis, when it's not my own team. Akron Dave Scott is the Jets. What's going on here, Dennis? Why am I not the New York Jets?
Dave, what is it going to take? What does Tom have to pay you in order to get that Jets franchise from you? Come on, let's talk brass tacks here.
Here's my answer, Senator. I will pay nothing. You will give us the gambling licensing fees for free. It's from the Godfather 2, I believe.
Yes.
But no, I'm the Baltimore Ravens in this league. I would not pay anything. I will not yield anything for the Jets name. I need all my assets, Dennis.
All right.
But and you know what? Even the Jets name came free. I don't know if I'd switch because I won a title with the Baltimore Ravens. I feel funny you win a title and they're going to change the name of your team. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true.
Unless it was like 5 years from now and I hadn't won anything. Assuming I'm even in SOMSFA in 5 years. We'll see. I have thought about leaving one league and going down to 3. We'll see what happens. But anyway, the Jets 4-4 started off 4-0. Dennis, it was all. What is it?
Roses and wine and roses.
Champagne dreams and caviar. Was that show? Lifestyles of Rich and Famous.
That's right. I can't remember exactly. Caviar dreams was the way to end it. Champagne wishes and caviar dreams. There you go.
That sounds good. Champagne wishes and caviar dreams for the Jets at the 4-0 start, and then it was all the opposite of that with an 0-4 second quarter, 4-4, with the upshot being that we predicted them to be around 500, Dennis. You predicted 8-8, and I predicted 7-9. Now, the 4-0 start beat Cincinnati. They're 4-4, beat the Rams by a field goal. They only have one win. Beat Mick, 24-7, good coach with a good team, with a team that's 5-3. Beat Paul, great coach with a mid-level team right now, 27-23. So all signs were like, yeah, this Jets team is for real. Then lost to Washington, who's decent. And Mike Nemo is a good coach, 31-24. Lost to Philly, who's got a good team. And you got to say the Bill's a good coach. He's 6-2. But we want to see the whole 16 games, Bill. So make sure you have a good second half. 24-10. Lost to Ron Martin, who's a great coach, 22-6, and he's got a good team. And lost to Miami, 27-9. That was a heartbreaker because Miami's only 3-5. So that was the game that the Jets would have hoped, well, I can win this game and still be north of 500. So some tough, so interesting. Some good wins in the first block and some losses to good teams in the second block. And the rest of the way.
Sometimes it's like tough when you get one of those losing funks to break out of it. But he can do it. He's just got to put his nose to the grindstone and get back to.
Yep. The old nose to the grindstone. Not that, don't try that in real life, folks. So not, only these are professional nose grindstoners. So,
that's right.
But you have a bloody nose shortly after you apply the grindstone. But I have to Google that and see like what the origin of that phrase is. It's probably some medieval. I don't know. It's like a dare. Maybe that was like the medieval equivalent of like when they dare the kid to lick the pole in A Christmas Story. You've seen A Christmas Story, right?
Yes, absolutely, yes. So
I double dare you. The medieval times they dared you to put your nose to the grindstone like while it was spinning or something. I don't know. Anyway, he has to apply himself.
Yes.
Figure out a way to get this team 5-3. Let's see what the schedule looks like. Plays Dallas, who is 5-3, playing well so far. Plays Buffalo's only 3-5. That's Jason Nolan. Plays Oakland 1-7. Schedule looking more favorable. Plays Denver 4-3 with Kurt, a good coach. Plays Seattle 10-0. Plays Arizona 5-3 with Brad Lane. Plays the Texans 6-5. The schedule's looking tough, Dennis. Tougher. Plays Green Bay 3-5. I think it's gonna be tough for this team to get over to stay over 500. I think 7-9, 8-8 is probably where they're gonna end up. He's 4-4. He's got a tough schedule. We obviously didn't think it was a great team before the season started. Otherwise, we'd have predicted the playoffs. Did a great job in the first quarter. But look, he's got Eli Manning and Darren McFadden and Eddie Lacy. Some decent running cards. I don't know what the blocking looks like. He's throwing the ball, 306 pass attempts. rushes. I'd like to see that even up a little more, although he's had a lot of games in the second block that weren't close. So maybe he's throwing a lot of passes in those games or running. McFadden's got a pretty nice linebacker card you can use for consistent yardage. Lacey's not too bad, right?
Yep, you're right. Tom, I got to run for a little bit. I'll be right back.
Sure thing.
10 minutes.
I'll probably be done by then because of the lightning round. We'll see.
Okay, sounds good. Goodbye.
All right. So the Jets, let's see, yardage. He's being pretty close, being outgained by 100 yards. 12 and 8. He's actually +4 in turnovers. Eli's only, it's just interesting. Eli's only averaging 5.8 yards an attempt. So you think he's flat passing a lot with him. He's only completing 56.5. So, and look at the averages. Jordan Matthews, 12.3. Most of the other guys pretty low. So there probably is a lot of flat passing going on. You would think the completion percentage would be higher. But also he had some games this quarter where, like I said, he was the final score was pretty one-sided. To air it out in the second half of those games, and Eli had a couple of those 11 for 30s or something, which hurt your stats. Now Dave's got to find a way to be a little better in the red zone. 56% red zone efficiency is pretty bad. 68% allowed is not terrible. It's probably about middle of the league or so. But 56%, you get touchdowns, field goals. And you can't be too conservative and settle for the field goal. Look at this way: a touchdown is 6+ points, right? 7 points. Field goal is 3 points. Touchdown is more than twice as good as a field goal. Now, is there a 50% chance that you're going to throw a turnover? That you're going to commit a turnover if you're trying to get the touchdown? Probably not. So it's worth it, I think. I mean, you're not going to have 50% of your red zone possessions end in turnovers. So it's worth it to be aggressive and go for those touchdowns. Dennis, you there? All right, guys, I don't know what just happened. I'm not sure if this is going to be in two parts, if there's going to be some down Dennis's groove and keep your own one to to the ground zone. There was some downtime, but apparently I lost my internet. And there was some dead time there. And it could have been in the middle of talking about Scott's club, or it could have been the early part of talking about Paul Mankiewicz's club. Just to briefly recap, Dave Scott started 4-0 with the Jets, had an 0-4 second quarter. You know, that a tough break for him. Got Eli Manning, not a great team. Pretty tough schedule the rest of the way. I don't think he's going to get to 9-7. He could. He's done a nice job so far, but I think 8-8 or 7-9 is more likely. Paul Mankiewicz, 2-2 each quarter. And Dave, hope you didn't get short shrifted there because I lost the internet. But I have no way of knowing right now how much of what I had previously said about your team was captured and how much wasn't. So hopefully you didn't get overly summarized. I apologize if you did. San Diego. Then again, if all of Dave's stuff is in there, I hate to go through his whole team again twice, needlessly. That'd be crazy. San Diego, 2-2 first quarter block, 2-2 second quarter block. Lost to some pretty good teams. Lost to NFL Ed. Lost to Akron Dave, who's 4-4. Lost to Arizona, who's got a winning record. Lost by a field goal in that game, and lost to Mixed Lions, who also have a winning record, 24-10. And all of Paul's wins were against teams 500 or less. So he hasn't beaten a winning team yet this year, but it's Paul, and he knows what he's doing. So he can obviously, you know, beat a good team. And our predictions were 10-6 from Dennis. Okay, you know, Dennis, I lost my internet for a minute. I didn't realize it. So I might have screwed up the Jets thing or the beginning of San Diego. But anyway, we're on to San Diego now, which is the last 4-4 team before the Lightning round.
Okay.
Paul's 4-4. You predicted 10-6. I predicted 8-8. He's lost to good teams, and all of his wins are against teams that are 500 or less. And the rest of the way, he's got LA, who's only got one win. He's got Dallas 5-3. He's got you, who's undefeated. He's got Mike Nemo's 3-4, but probably a pretty decent team, and we know he's a good coach. He's got Ron Martin, Pittsburgh 6-4. He's got me. He's got Oakland, only got one win. He's got Houston, who's 6-5. So he's got 2 one-win teams. Paul will win those games with his coaching acumen and probably superior team. That's why those teams have only one win. But the rest of the schedule is real tough. So what do you think? I know it's Paul. Do you like him to make the playoffs? Do you think he might fall short? What do you think is going to happen here?
I'd say 9-7. I think 9-7.
Yeah, I think you're right. They could win the 2 bad games and split the rest, go 9-7, maybe 10-6 because that's Paul, and get in there. I mean, Paul, you know, guys like, oh, hey, I'm 4-4 and predicted me plus. Well, I've been in leagues with Paul for many years, and I know what he can do. Other guys, I'm just getting to know them. I don't know what they can do yet. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So now we go to the rest of the way, Dennis. This is supposed to be the lightning round.
Okay.